Hey everyone, and welcome to today's live coverage of the Polaris dawn mission. I know you might have been expecting Felix here, but as you know, it's like 5 a.m. in the morning in Florida. So I think it's understandable that he's not doing today. And I'm over here in Germany, so right now it's 11 a.m. for me. So all perfect. And as you can see in the top left corner of the screen, we're about like 24 minutes away from the liftoff right now. And I'm super happy this mission is finally coming together and launching. As I think the first launch opportunity was like somewhere end of August, like 27th. So it's been like 14 days. And they've been moving it and moving it and moving it. And I will also be going into the details why they've been actually moving it. But yeah, let me know in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear. And please also let me know where you're all from. I would expect lots of people from Europe today because, as I said, it's in the middle of the night for America. But yeah, please let me know where you're from, and I'll get everything ready for the stream. Yeah, so we can actually go into a bit of detail into why they've been moving this mission around and around. Because the first opportunity, as I said already, was August 27th, and they scrapped that opportunity because of a ground helium leak. So not like Starliner, where they had helium leaks in the actual spacecraft, they just had a ground leak, and they put Falcon 9 back horizontal at the launch pad and fixed up some stuff. And after that, basically, the weather was just kind of terrible. So they moved it day by day in hopes for good weather. And you might think like, hey, there was great weather in Florida. Why didn't they just launch? And the complex part with crewed launches is basically that there's not only you don't only need to watch out for the weather in Florida, so at the Cape, you also need to watch out for weather at the landing site for a booster, of course, because Falcon 9, the booster lands. But way more importantly, you also need to watch out for the weather at the landing site in 5 days, where the Dragon capsule is gonna splash down, and you will also need to watch out for weather offshore, where the Dragon capsule would land in case of an abort, because in case something goes wrong during fueling or liftoff, the Dragon can abort the takeoff and basically just like separate from the capsule from the rocket, and then it needs to land somewhere. So the weather where that landing would happen, of course, also needs to be all good as expected. Okay, I'm just checking chat now. Of course, still lots of people from Europe, but surprisingly also lots of people from the States. So props to you guys that you're awake at like 5 in the morning Florida time, or even later or earlier if you're in Texas, for example. Yeah, so super happy to see as many people in here. Yeah, and if you have questions, feel free to either ping at What About It, or I think Rocket Art is one of our moderators. He's in chat right now. Just ping one of us, and then we'll try to get the questions answered on stream. And yeah, so feel free to do that. And yeah, so we can also give a quick mission overview about what this mission is actually about, and I'll just get that ready. So this is the mission objectives, what the mission will try to accomplish, and it's super cool if you think about it, what they're gonna do, because most importantly, they're gonna try to achieve the highest orbit a manned spacecraft has achieved since Apollo. And I think that's going to be around 1,400 kilometers, so 1,400 kilometers, a bit more than that. And that's super far away, so the crew will have a great view out of the Dragon capsule, hopefully. And it's going to be super amazing. And of course, the definitely most important objective of the mission is going to be that they'll try to do a spacewalk from Dragon. So you'll normally, of course, know spacewalks from the ISS, and I'm fairly sure most of you guys have seen them before. And I think you can actually see one on the SpaceX stream in the background right now. There's some footage of that. And the cool part is that Dragon will actually depressurize. So the whole capsule will depressurize for the people in there to be able to leave the capsule. And that's going to be super cool. And yeah, of course, they're also going to do they're going to test Starlink, so they'll try to test the Starlink communication through lasers. So normally on Earth you have normal Starlink dishes, right? Basically, just like a small satellite dish you put outside, and then you get internet through Starlink. But because they're in space, what they're actually going to try is they'll see if they can point lasers from the trunk of the Dragon. So that's the part, the gray part behind Dragon, and they'll try to point a laser from that to a Starlink satellite and get internet access through lasers. And it's super cool. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Yeah, and of course, there's going to be lots of scientific research as well. Yeah, and that's going to be all super cool. And yeah, really looking forward to that. Okay. Okay, I saw a question in chat. Someone asked if this is gonna be the first launch with a toilet on site, because if the crew is gonna be in space for 5 days, they kind of need to use a toilet. And actually, this is the same Dragon. It's Dragon Resilience. It's the same they used for Inspiration 4, and they also had a toilet on board there, because that mission, I think it was 3 days. I'm not totally sure. Please feel free to correct me in the chat if I make any mistakes. Yeah, so they had one there, and they of course need one, and I think it's stored away in the sidewall of the Dragon. So yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's where it is. Toilet. Yeah, and someone in chat also said that they got to see rockets vertical with their own eyes. That's of course always one of the coolest things. I've been in Florida twice now, and I've seen rockets launch, and it's just, I always say, it's the thing you need to do as a space nerd. Go out there, see a rocket launch with your own eyes. It's just incredible. It's super cool. And yeah, so we can actually look a bit further into the mission overview. So right now we are within propellant loading, so you can see that about at 35 minutes before liftoff, they started launching. They started fueling the rockets. So they start with RP1, and then basically right after that they start with liquid oxygen. So that's under the way right now, and that's for the first stage. So that's the booster below. That's gonna land back at the at the drone ship, not launch site, sorry. And then in about a minute, we can actually listen into that call from SpaceX. The second stage should also start LOX loading, because that has a smaller tank, so it doesn't take as long. Yeah. So let's actually listen into SpaceX and hear what they're talking about. Oh, and I just noticed that it seems like our SpaceX stream is having a few problems, so that's not great. So I'll just give you our port cam for a second, and I'll try to fix that SpaceX stream. Give me a hot minute. Shouldn't take me too long though. Yeah, the SpaceX stream was having some issues this morning, where it took them quite some time to get it fixed, where it was just like lagging and buffering all the time. That was a bit annoying. Yeah, but I'll try to get this fixed real quick. So don't mind me being silent for a minute. Need to concentrate. Let's see.
Down. Now, as we all wait together, let's hear from some of the crew.
Okay, and I should be back. We had a small technical difficulty there. Should be all good again, though. I'm sorry for that interruption. Yeah, we had a small crash on our side on the server, but it should be all good now. And yeah, so we should have had the propellant loading on the second stage start. I'll just mute SpaceX so you can actually hear me. Yeah, so we should have started the propellant loading on the second stage, and that's just another indication that it's all going good for this launch. And there are a few more questions in chat, and one of them is where I'm from. So as you can see, maybe behind me, there's light. So I'm not in the States. I'm in Germany, so that's Europe. And yeah, it's 11 in the morning here, so it's quite a nice time to watch this launch. At least it's way nicer than what some of you guys in the States need to do. Oh, and then there's another question about the toilet. I have no clue why you guys are that much interested in the toilet questions today, but so what I question is basically if they're gonna take off their suits when they use the toilet, and you know that's what the fuck, that's a weird question. But basically, while the Dragon is closed and there's no edge open, they actually don't need to wear their spacesuits the whole time. So as far as I know, they can just take them off sometime after liftoff and before they do the spacewalk, of course, because Dragon is then fully pressurized, and then they can just basically live in there, and they should just be able to do everything as expected without the suit. Okay, so let's listen into what SpaceX is saying.
My toes at the window, or look over at your screen, Cyan, and see, where we are.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could see how much you could see, because I couldn't see out the, I was laser focused on listening to Jared and watching the monitor, and I was surprised at how smooth it was, because I was expecting for it to be a little bit more, where the monitors are going like this, but it wasn't at all. Mm-hmm. But I always wondered, did you look between your toes and see? Could you see out? Were you able to? I don't think I did.
I remember right before we launched.
And actually, right below me, you can actually see our port cam. So that camera's located in port canaveral, and it should be, we should be able to see the rocket actually launch in there. And it would have also had our photographer, John Winkopp, out there at the close to launch site capturing the launch live. But sadly, today is the only day where he couldn't make it out of the last 15 attempts they had. So that's quite sad, but we're still gonna probably have a really nice view from SpaceX directly. So that's gonna be awesome nonetheless. And yeah, so we can also real quick talk about the crew. So we of course have 4 people on crew. Let me just go through my pictures here real quick. There you go. So those are our 4 crew members, and of course our commander is going to be Derek Isaacman. He's the person that is funding most of this mission. He was also the commander on the Inspiration 4 mission, you might remember. Yeah, he's one of the people that will do the spacewalk, because only 2 of the astronauts in this mission will actually do the spacewalk. 2 will stay inside, and Derek Isaacman is one of them. And then next one is our mission pilot, and that's Scott Petit. I hope I pronounced his name right. But yeah, that's our mission pilot, and he's a retired US Air Force pilot, so he has lots of experience as well. And yeah, then next is Sarah Gillis. Hope I can pronounce this right. So, yeah, she's a mission specialist together with Anna Menon, and they're both actually working for SpaceX, and that's also super cool to see people from SpaceX on this mission as well. Yeah, that's super cool. And I also seen someone ask about why our mission clock is a bit off from the SpaceX one, and that actually is quite simple, because the SpaceX stream, when we're getting it in on our server, is delayed by about 30 seconds. So that time you're seeing up there should actually be about correct, minus a few seconds, of course, plus minus. But so when that time comes to 0, we should be able to see the rocket launch on our port camera for a few seconds later. Yeah. Okay. So now that we're getting into the final countdown, not final countdown, but close to launch, let's actually listen to SpaceX again, see if they're saying anything important.
Talking to the crew, configure crew displays, and give them the farewell message.
Enjoy the journey and go safely.
To our SpaceX family, thank you. Today is all of our mission. You are launching with us.
So many more cycle crews have gone into the stage. This is the dawn of a new future in space.
so I'll mute him real quick again. Yeah, we can take a quick look again at the mission overview of events before T0. So next event is going to be at T minus 7 minutes. So that's in about 3 minutes, 2.5. That's when the Falcon 9 is going to begin engine chill. So that's basically because, you know, the liquid oxygen they're using is really, really cold. So to not shock frost the engines, basically, they slowly start chilling them down. So they're already at the right temperature when they're going to start up, because they use that liquid oxygen to cool parts of the engine. So they don't want to, you know, shock frost the whole thing when they start them up properly. So that's why they do that at T minus 7 minutes before launch. And later in the mission profile, we should also be able to see that for the second stage. That should happen a few minutes after launch, before that engine starts up, the second stage engine. We should also see it on the mission profile they have on stream, and also they should call it out. Yes, and after that, of course, we have at T minus 1 minute, that's when Falcon 9 is in startup. And that's just when the mission computer, so the flight computer of the Falcon 9, takes over the terminal count and decides basically when to abort or not to abort. Yeah, then at 45 minutes, 45 seconds, sorry, before launch, the flight director gives the final go for launch, which is of course important. And then 3 seconds before launch, the engine start begins, and then at 0 we have liftoff. And that's basically all we need to know that happens before the launch, which is kind of cool. And some inside info is basically that booster is 1083 as far as I know, and it has flown Crew 8 and 2 Starlings, so it's fairly new. And I mean, you can also see it, the booster is really, really white, and usually those boosters are like gray, really gray and black when they fly more times, because they're basically flying up to 20 times by now, and that's just insane if you think about it. They were planning for about 10 reflies in the beginning, and now they're at 20, so that's just insane. Yeah, super cool. And yeah, launch site is going to be 39A, and I think most of you have already seen that from the iconic tower. You can kind of see it on the left of the screen there peeking in, and yeah, super cool. And yeah, let's listen to SpaceX again. I'll just go grab a bit of water to drink.
Around the T minus 6 minute mark, liquid oxygen loading will continue on both first and second stage as we get closer to the T0. So we should hear a call
Stage
out.
1 RP1 load is complete.
Perfect timing. Stage 1 RP1, or the fuel for the Falcon 9 vehicle, has completed on the first stage.
Now, coming up next at around T minus 5 minutes, we should hear a call out that Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count. This is similar to the startup phase of the count for Falcon. It's essentially when the vehicle takes over control of the count and starts to operate on internal power and on internal computers. So of course, Falcon 9 enters the startup phase at T minus 1 minute. And Dragon will transition to configure for terminal count at T minus 5 minutes. Got a great view right now of both Dragon on the left side of your screen and our 4 crew members on the right. We are now approaching the final minutes of the countdown here.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
Dragon is okay.
And there we just heard the call for strong back retract. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically on the slightly left side of your screen on the Falcon 9 view there. Right behind the rocket, you can see that small arm. It's not that small, it's about the size of the rocket. But that will basically just retract. It's used to bring up the rocket from its vertical position, from its horizontal position. So it'll basically flip it up and prepare it for launch. But you know, when they're launching, they don't need it, so they'll retract it in order to let the rocket go, basically, when it's time for liftoff. Yeah, and on the right there, you do have our power cam view. And if we're lucky, we should be able to see see a rocket fly through right in the middle and then up to a right corner in a few minutes. Yeah, that's hopefully going to be great view. It's of course going to be small because Port Canaveral is a few miles away from the pad. But it's still going to be view, and that's nice. And then of course we have SpaceX view on the left. Yeah, and no one can beat SpaceX view. That's just simply how it is. Yeah, and I had another question when the crew is going to splash down. So the whole mission duration is about 5 days. I don't have the exact date in my mind when they're going to splash down. But if someone knows that in the chat, feel free to put it in. But they should be splashing down in about 5 days.
See stage 1 liquid oxygen loading completing, and at T minus 2 minutes, that will be stage 2 liquid oxygen loading completion. And once we hit that T minus 2 minute mark, that will conclude propellant loading for Falcon 9. We are coming up here just about 10 seconds or so for that call out of stage 1 liquid oxygen loading.
And as you heard him just say, they're about to finish propellant loading the second stage. And someone again asked where Felix is, and I'm super happy to explain it again. So basically, as you might know, it's about like 5:30 in the morning in America, and this was actually scheduled for way earlier, about like 3:30 in the morning. So Felix wasn't planning on streaming this because it was way too early. Yeah, that's basically why I'm here. I live in Germany, so I mean, you can see it's bright outside. So that's just why I'm able to stream this. And yeah, now we're actually getting really close, so let's listen to SpaceX again.
Inside the last minute 45 and then 1 minute, we'll get Dragon into countdown. Falcon 9 computers will go to startup.
Okay, and we can take a quick look at the checklist of what's going to happen after launch, and it's of course going to be liftoff at T0. Then at 58 seconds, we're going to have max fuel, which is just when the rocket experiences the most aerodynamic pressure. Basically, it's when the atmosphere is the thickest and the rocket is going the fastest. So that's just most stress on the rocket, and that's at 58 seconds after liftoff. Then at 2 minutes and 38 seconds, we're going to have MECO, main engine cutoff, when the booster is going to cut off its engine and then separate. And then, yeah, separation is about 4 to 5 seconds later. And then, yeah, those are the main events. And now as I see that our countdown is coming to an end, let's actually switch to our port cam. So we might be able to catch the rocket on there. And then I'll unmute SpaceX again.
66 seconds of the countdown.
Yes, our countdown might have actually been off by a few seconds there. As I think the stream is only delayed by about 30. So we still have a few seconds until we should see that rocket.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
Okay, and there we just had that flight director confirm, go for launch. So we gotta go. Godspeed.
T minus 30 seconds.
Okay, we should see that rocket on the port cam every second now.
T minus 15.
Oh, and there it is.
T minus
Basically
10,
just really bright.
9, 8, 7, 6,
Love it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and launch. Go Falcon, go Polaris.
And there we have ignition on SpaceX cam as well.
Vehicle is pitching downrange. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Yeah, and there we just had a call out that stage 1 propulsion is normal. So basically the rocket is performing as expected. And as I said before, and you can see on the checklist there, next up event is max Q in about 20 seconds.
T plus 35 seconds into the Polaris Dawn mission. Flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9 to new heights.
Power and telemetry nominal.
And we're throttling down in preparation
throttle down.
for max Q. Next call out, the vehicle supersonic. And there on the left side,
in the capsule.
got the
Falcon
Polaris
9 is
crew.
supersonic.
Thumbs up from the pilot on the left side there.
Max Q.
And there we have max Q.
We're
So as
throttled.
explained before, that's just the powered by the rocket experiences the most aerodynamic pressure and stress on the whole vehicle.
Happen should they need to initiate anything. But right now, everybody making nominal callouts on Falcon 9. Nice views from the ground camera and nice view from inside Dragon.
MVAC chill is underway.
The announcement lets us know we've begun the final chill of the second stage engine in preparation for its activity coming up at about T plus 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah, I just fully love how night launches look. I just look at the view on the right. It's slowly disappearing now, but that just looks so cool. And as I said before, if you ever get the chance to experience a launch in first person, definitely go for it. It's like an amazing experience, and I'll never forget my first time. It's just, it looks so cool, and it's way brighter than you would ever expect.
And ignition of the second stage engine. Throttle down, we're holding a constant acceleration now for the crew, just below 4 Gs. See, we're coming up 70 kilometers.
And there we go. That should be Miko. And now we should see stage separation and then second stage engine ignition pretty soon. That's stage separation. And there's engine ignition.
As you can tell by the cheers behind us and the views on your screen, the first stage booster now on its way to attempt landing on Just Read the Instructions. Second stage there on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see that the first stage has not yet reached its apogee. You can see the altitude there. Lots of thumbs up there. Excuse me, from pilot Scott Kid Poteet. Now 3.5.
And it seems like it's all going great. And yeah, I just saw a question chat again what I did to Felix. And no, I didn't kidnap Felix. It's all great. He's just sleeping over in Florida, where it's in the middle of the night. And over here in Germany, it's middle of the day already. So yeah, it's just a way nicer time to host a stream. I think we can all agree that, yeah, hosting a stream in the middle of the night isn't the greatest. Yeah.
Looking good. Now the grid fins have deployed on the first stage. If we get first stage views, we might be able to see the Florida coast in the background. Oh, they're right there. Yeah, we sure can.
Yeah, that looks super cool. Yeah, some moderator in the stream just said that's basically Florida coast in a booster. So that's booster camera on the left, and it's coming back down. So you can see it slowly disappearing in the top left corner there. But it's super cool to see those. And yeah. And on the right, you can actually see that's the engine bell. So the nozzle of the second stage engine. And what's really cool is lately, for missions that don't require as much power, they started using smaller nozzles. So I don't have a picture ready now, but maybe some of our moderators might be able to get me one real quick. But it's basically just shorter nozzles, and it looks really weird when you're used to those big nozzles. But they basically just do that if they don't need all the power, because bigger nozzles are more efficient, but they're also more expensive and way more. So if they don't need them, because they don't need the power, they just make them smaller and still have enough performance for some missions.
And that will bring the booster down for a soft landing on our drone ship. Around the same time as that, we expect to see Dragon be injected into orbit.
Yeah, so if we look back at the timeline, the next cool thing we're going to see, of course, is the entry burn startup for the booster. And that should be at around 7 minutes 39. So 2 minutes. and shortly after it will shut down again, and then we'll later see the landing burn at around 9 minutes and 11 seconds. Yeah, those always look super cool. And we're really not far away from them, so let's hope those all go well. Because we actually had a booster, I think it was landing for the 23rd time, I'm not totally sure, but it had a landing leg collapse on landing. You know, of course not mission critical because it delivered its payload. I think it was Starlink mission, but the booster didn't make it. But you know, it's just a booster, so mission was still successful, of course.
We can see the crew remain with their visors down in the locked position. That'll remain that way until they are in orbit. Everything continuing to look great with the second stage engine burn there, as well as the
Dragon SpaceX trajectory nominal.
And we just had to call it again that the trajectory is expected, and it just means that the path to its orbit and to its destiny is as expected and as calculated beforehand. So it all looks great. And I did have a fun question in chat before, and that was basically just why SpaceX just doesn't use this mission to fly to the International Space Station or grab the 2 astronauts that are stranded there because of Starliner. And the really simple answer is that this mission was planned way before, and they can't just rapidly change the mission profile like that to just, oh, let's leave 2 people behind so we have free season and pick them up. And I think right now the plan is for the next NASA crew mission to go pick them up in 8 months, so quite some time. But yeah, we should see that entry burn start up about now. Yeah, there we go. That's entry burn startup, and should last for a few seconds. Yeah, and Falcon 9 actually uses 3 engines for the entry burn. So basically engines in a line, and then for the landing later we'll only use 1 engine because you need to keep in mind it gets way lighter. It gets way lighter the more fuel it burns, of course, because lots of weight of the rocket, I would say more than 95%, probably even more, are just fuel. So yeah, that's why it needs to use less and less engines the more it comes down, because it actually can't hover, because 1 engine is too much thrust at its lowest throttle setting to make the rocket hover, so just come down and then fly back up. So they need to time the burn exactly right to make it land softly. Okay, let's listen back into SpaceX for that landing burn that's coming up every second
will
line.
Be SECO 1, and that is second stage engine cutoff 1, and that'll be on the second stage. That MVAC engine on your right-hand screen will shut down and allow the vehicle with Dragon attached to coast.
MVAC shut down.
And there's that shutdown.
And that's
and the
actually
landing
shut
burn
down
on
of
the first stage should be
upper stage
starting
engine.
up here momentarily. And there it is. Landing
And
burn
that's the
has
landing
begun
burn.
for...
Dragon SpaceX nominal orbit insertion.
Dragon SpaceX launch escape system disarmed.
And then we can see the change of getting brighter when the booster comes in.
And a lot of events happening right there.
There we
You can
go.
see that the stage 1
Yeah, that looked like a really soft landing. Yeah, I mean, it's by now it's basically just expected. Having a landing mishap like a few days ago, it's just the minority. It basically never happens. Yeah, so it's just a surprise every time it does happen, and it happens really rarely. So I can't even remember when the last time was before that anomaly we had a few days ago. Yeah, so it's super cool. And another question I saw is during ascent is why the camera inside the capsule looks so smooth, because you know it's a rocket, so it needs to probably wobble a lot in there. But actually what's going on is that the camera is pretty nicely attached to the capsule from the inside, and as you don't see outside and you just see the capsule in there, it's just you don't have a reference to the outside world, so it looks pretty smooth. Although I'm pretty sure I can feel the rumble in there because yeah, the rocket is pretty powerful. Yeah, so it's just our view basically. But yeah, that's hopefully answers that questions. And if you that question, and if you have more questions, feel free to put them in chat. Right now is a great time to to put them in there, and I'll see if I can get them answered. Yeah.
At this point in time, the Dragon and the Dragon trunk remain attached to the second stage. Second stage is basically safing itself in preparation for the separation from the Dragon trunk. Of course, the trunk will remain attached to the Dragon capsule all the way up until the point in which we begin re-entry operations. The trunk.
Yeah, and as you can see on the timeline from SpaceX there, the Dragon separation is actually coming up really shortly. So that's less than a minute away, I would guess. So that's gonna also be really cool, of course, because I think we always have a view from the Dragon trunk when it's slowly separating. And it's probably gonna be look really awesome. And yeah, so basically for the Dragon spacecraft, we have the capsule. That's the actual capsule where the people sit in. Then you have the trunk, which supplies power and some other mechanisms and systems to the Dragon capsule for assistance. For example, it also has the Starlink antenna in there, the laser which they use to communicate with Starlink network. And yeah, that's all in the trunk. So everything that's not like life essential is, as far as I know, in the trunk.
I believe this view here is, yep, it's of the trunk. We can see it separating from the second stage.
Oh, that's an awesome view.
A gorgeous view.
With the Earth, yeah, it's so cool. Wow, just wow.
We can see that Polaris
Dragon
dawn.
separation confirmed.
Copy that, SpaceX, you show the same.
Wow. I mean, I can also just applaud. This looks just so fascinating. It's so cool. Yeah, now let's just imagine you're actually sitting up there in that capsule, and in a few minutes you'll have that view for yourself. It would just be so cool. Yeah, and another question I had was when the spacewalk is going to be. And as far as I know, the spacewalk is going to be on the third day. I'll just check my notes here. Yeah, so as far as I know, that's going to be on the third day. So they're going to do some stuff in orbit first, some tests, and of course verify that all systems of the Dragon are working as expected. And then after that, they're going to do the spacewalk. Yeah.
That lies ahead. Know that the entire team back here is with you every step, watching, supporting, and cheering you on as you walk into space. We are sending you hugs from the ground. Godspeed, Polaris Dawn crew. May you make history and come home safely. Now words from our CE.
Dragon, CE, welcome to orbit. The Falcon team is honored to have helped you start your incredible journey. We hope you enjoyed the ride. The whole SpaceX family is looking up to you. Godspeed and good luck.
That's so cool. I still can't get how just cool this view looks. You can still see the Dragon up there. So we were basically looking from the second stage out to Dragon. So that's that small thing next to the sun there. And it just looks so cool. And I'm still fascinated how it can just like take just about 10 minutes to get from the ground all the way to orbit. Yeah, it's just so insane. I just love it. Yeah, super cool. And we did have another question that's not really related to the mission, but it's also spaceflight, so I might answer it. And that's basically if I think that the booster catch attempt from SpaceX is going to be successful. So I'm not an engineer yet, so I can't. I'm not engineer at SpaceX, so I don't fully understand all of the systems, of course. So it's just an educated guess what I'm going to say. But if they're actually going to try for that booster catch attempt, because I think what they're going to do is they're going to target the launch tower, and in case anything goes wrong during descent of that booster from Starship, they're going to divert it into the Gulf of Mexico in front of the launch tower to not crash the launch site. Yeah, but I think if they actually get there, that they're shortly before igniting the engines, they might have a good chance of actually catching it. Because if you saw the landing video from the last booster, I think that was like from Bowie. There was a cool video where you could see it land, and that actually looks kind of stabilized. So I think there's a good chance of us actually seeing a booster catch attempt, or like really close to good a catch attempt when they yeah, when they do the next flight. And actually, on stream we can just see the capsule. Or what's that even called? Yeah, I'm missing the word right now, but you can see it on stream. You can see it open. So basically, that will enable the crew to look outside and see this amazing view. Yeah. So let's turn to SpaceX for a second again.
SpaceX nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts, and nose cone open is in progress.
Yeah, nose cone. That's what it's called. So they're opening the nose cone right now, as you saw there a second ago.
Copy that, SpaceX. We are tracking.
And again, that's Thursday, September 12th for that spacewalk, so please be sure to tune in for our live coverage of this historic milestone.
And of course, we will also be back to bring you live coverage of Splashdown when the crew returns back to Earth. You can.
Okay, so I'll mute SpaceX real quick again so we can use that time to answer some more questions. Because we did have someone ask what happens to the second stage, so the one we're currently seeing the view from. And basically, the second stage doesn't land like the first one. And that's simply because as soon as you're in orbit, you could see a second ago on the bottom right of the screen there that the rocket was traveling like let me just switch this away. So that's just a port cam because our Starbase cam is also it's rainy out there, so I also can't see too much. So I'll just point our port cam over at the drone chips. But yeah, so they don't catch or land the second stage because the energy required to brake from an orbital speed is just so much more higher than a first stage, because you know the first stage just goes up and comes down, but the second stage is basically already up and flying really fast. You need to brake all that fast velocity and then make a soft landing. Yeah, and it just requires so much more energy. And if you would put fuel in the rocket for that, there just wouldn't be any left for any payloads. So that's basically the main reason for that. And that's why Starship is so incredibly insane that they're trying to build a fully reusable system, which is just so super cool. Yeah. Yeah, and another question was if they're actually above the Starlink network. So I might actually have a cool visualization for that. No clue if it's perfect, but it's probably going to be better than nothing. So this is a picture SpaceX posted about that mission, basically. And you can see the lasers between the different Starlink satellites and also a laser coming out of the trunk of the Dragon. And that's basically the communication they're trying to test. And yes, Dragon is going to be above the Starlink network when they test that. So about 200 kilometers as far as I know. Yeah, and then they're going to try to connect with a laser from the trunk of the Dragon to a Starlink satellite and see if they can transfer there and even connect. And if that succeeds, that's just gonna be a new way to for high-speed internet in space. Because of course lasers are pretty fast and can transfer a big amount of data. And yeah, that's even the reason why they're trying to do this. Yeah, and also super cool. So yeah, that's quite amazing. And yeah, if you have more questions, now would be a great time to put them in chat and see if I can answer them. Because yeah, this mission, at least Liftoff, is coming to an end, and I actually need to get back to university because I'm studying mechanical engineering right now. So yeah, I won't be here for too long anymore. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in chat. Okay, and it did just seem that that I have small issues with my audio there, but it should be fixed now. So what I was saying is basically that someone was thanking me for the stream, and I'm super thankful you liked it. And I'm really looking forward to the next one. I might do it sometime, maybe even with Felix together. And yeah, that's hopefully going to be super cool. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today's stream. So thank you so much all for watching. And if you want people to see the replay of the stream that's going to be live on the channel, feel free to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel, of course, to not miss further live streams we're going to do. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And I'll run the intro one more time as an outro, and I think lots of people like that, so it probably will be cool for you guys to see that again. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.